Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to 999, the first Nonary game. So, we're on this path towards the second to last ending, I assume, the last bad ending. We learned a lot, frankly, in the last recording. We learned that Ace is the guy in charge of Cradle Pharmaceuticals. There's apparently four people that made the Nonary game that happened 9 years ago and did the kidnappings of the kids. There was a secret code embedded in everybody's bracelet, I assume everybody's bracelet, to unlock the safe that was way back at this escape room here. We went back to this escape room because Clover was murdered, and in there we finally figured out that Snake actually isn't dead. So we kind of think it is Snake that's the killer. But then Junpei has asked everybody that is in the group, that doesn't include Snake, who we haven't seen since for a very long time. He's going to make some kind of accusation. Junpei also has figured out something that was fairly obvious to me, that there was at least a chance that the bracelets activate the reds and deads just by being near them, and you don't have to have them actually turned on and trapped around a human being's wrist, which, no duh, like, there is a technology I suppose you could do to send some kind of signals through the capacity of, or the capacitiveness of a person's hand, or perhaps a even just low voltage signal you're always running through someone's hand. But there's really no reason why you would have the bracelets work that way at all. It's questionable why Junpei brought everybody back to the hospital room to make this accusation and do this test on the 3 door, when he could have very easily done the test on a different numbered door. I guess maybe he wanted a slight bit of evidence that the 3 door wouldn't just open for anybody no matter what anyways, which is another possibility. As it's going, we probably, it seems like it just keeps going on and on. We probably are going to get some more story, unless we're going to get an escape room right here, and then we'll be done. And then I'm going to try to rewind to this point and see if I can just make it here. But I don't still have any kind of code or combination that tells me how to open this coffin. So I'm not really sure about that one. And Seven admitted that the reason why he left the doors open specifically to this escape room, the first classroom, was because of the safe that was in that room that we didn't have a code to open, and we finally did open it. Although, in all fairness, that safe very well may have been opened once before anyways. We still really have no idea who Zero is. It could be Ace, but it's unlikely at this point. And I'm still not certain we're going to get a good ending. So let's just go forward and continue. It looks as though they hadn't found the chance to break into the conversation yet. As Junpei approached, they turned to look at him, curiosity plain on their faces. Before long, the 3 others did as well. So the group was just talking amongst themselves, kind of insignificantly. We're right at the point where Junpei is going to do his impression of Sherlock Holmes, I imagine, and lay everything out.
What was that about?
How should I know?
Now, there is this possibility that 3 of the adults, which would pretty much just be Seven and Lotus, and then the 9th man also, It could be that all of them actually did work for Cradle Pharmaceuticals. But it's highly unbelievable that any of the younger characters could. So it kind of makes a sense that 4 people were named from doing the Nonary Game and kidnapping the kids 9 years ago, and only one of them is going to be punished in this game, or 1, maybe 2, and then the other 2 might show up in sequels. Clearly they were all expecting some answers.
Thanks. I appreciate your cooperation.
Yeah. Clearly they hoped for something more forthcoming. He continued.
By the way, Ace, would you mind if I asked you something?
So we're going to ask Ace something.
What is it?
Do you know who I am?
So he's going to ask Ace, do you know who I am? Question mark. Good question.
What? What kind of question?
Just answer it, please. Who am I?
So if Ace didn't have the face blindness, which we found out 2 episodes ago, he should be easily able to say Junpei. Like, Junpei doesn't even have a fake code name. If there was any more information to be revealed, I don't think Ace would know it.
You're Junpei, of course. Who else would you be?
Unfortunately, that's the wrong answer.
Interesting. Why is that the wrong answer?
Actually, I'm Santa.
Actually, I'm Santa. We heard that phrase said when we saw a cutscene at the other end.
What?
Ace's voice was full of surprise, but it also tinged with confusion and fear. Everyone else looked nearly as surprised. This doesn't make any sense, but he's obviously pulling off a trick. Santa looked especially shocked to discover he was actually someone else. If he spoke, however, the trap would be exposed. Junpei quickly continued.
The clothes I'm wearing, I borrowed from Junpei.
The clothes I'm wearing I borrowed from Junpei.
And the clothes he's wearing are mine. We had a little swap.
Alright, so how do you swap that spiky white hair? Even if he's face blinded, it'd be pretty easy unless Ace was also colorblind to see those hairs were different.
That's ridiculous. Impossible.
So, you're saying I'm not Santa?
Of course you aren't.
Why? What makes you so sure I'm not Santa?
So, is the idea here Ace isn't actually face blind and Junpei is tricking him?
If you were Santa, then door 3 wouldn't have opened for us just now. 1 plus 7 plus 8 plus 3 equals 19.
This is funny that Ace is falling back to the numbers.
1 plus 9 would be 10. The digital route would be 1. But the 4 of us just opened door 3. You can't possibly be Santa. Your bracelet number isn't 3.
It's 5, right?
Only then, when it was too late, did Ace realize his mistake. He said his jaw and glared at Junpei.
You're exactly right. My bracelet number is 5.
As he spoke, Junpei lifted his wrist up to show everyone a bright red 5 on his wrist.
Sorry, Ace. I tricked you.
But yeah, that is kind of like only someone with face blindness would make that argument, and it clearly goes to show that he knows he has face blindness.
Of course, I'm not really Santa. I'm Junpei. Who could possibly think I was? It's obvious I'm not. To think I was? Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I guess you couldn't see just how obvious it was. I asked you before, didn't I? What makes you so sure I'm not Santa? And you answered. If you were Santa, then door 3 wouldn't have opened for us just now. Most people wouldn't say something like that.
It's weird though, just explaining what literally just happened. This would make sense if there was like a TV episode and it ended to a commercial break with Junpei saying, "Actually, I'm Santa," and then there was a whole episode. I don't know how you'd get a whole like 8 minutes out of Ace then explaining why Junpei could be Santa, and then having another commercial break. But there might be a way to do that. But in a visual novel experience, this game feels like it's designed for people who have basically no attention span, can't remember anything, and yet it's still incredibly complicated as far as with all the dialogue and stories. So I don't know who would play a game like this with no attention span. And I'm not saying my attention span is particularly good at all, but it does seem very ridiculous to just bring what literally just happened and say it out loud, at least.
The first thing that would come to anyone else's mind wouldn't be the bracelet number. There'd only be one thing they'd say. One sentence. You don't have his face. Ace, you have prosopagnosia, am I right?
And this is going to play some role, almost certainly, in the idea that Ace is not been able to recognize someone else here that worked at Cradle Pharmaceutical or something else like that. There's somebody here that Ace would have recognized immediately if he had seen them.
Prosopagnosia?
And now we've got to go back and explain this to the rest of the group.
What's that?
It would be so easy to localize this and just say face blindness. Even if people don't know what that is, it's a much better term than the medical term.
No clue.
Prosopagnosia is...
See, and even now they're skipping through the explanation. And the fact that Lotus knows what prosopagnosia is does kind of imply that she might be the other person who worked for Cradle Pharmaceutical.
Very well, I confess. I have prosopagnosia. I cannot differentiate human faces.
Yeah, embarrassing, but probably easier just to confess that and say that even at the beginning of the game. There's like no reason to really hide it.
Is that what this was about? You want to mock me for my disorder?
No, not at all. I'm not making fun of you at all. In fact, I feel kind of bad for you. No, the reason I brought this up is that there's an excellent chance the person who killed Snake has prosopagnosia.
Why is there an excellent chance that the person who killed Snake would have that? What's the reason for that? Particularly since I don't think Snake is even dead. But let's just... Why would there be any reason for that at all? This doesn't make sense.
What do you mean?
I'll just come right out with it.
Yeah, please explain yourself. The story just gets deeper and deeper and twistier and twistier. It doesn't seem like there's enough clues. This was a problem I always had with the Sherlock Holmes stories in particular, that there was literally clues that were just not shown or mentioned in the books, and so there was no way you could actually solve them. And the Sherlock Holmes novels were written well enough that most people wouldn't be too upset with that, but it, over the decades of more and more people writing in that style, the stories have gotten crazier and crazier.
I think it was you, Ace. You killed him.
Yeah, I would have believed that too up until this point, and now I just feel like I'm being a contrarian by not believing Ace did it. There's a lot of evidence up until this point that would have said Ace was the killer, but it's all kind of circumstantial, and we still don't really have a good reason why he would kill Snake. Unless Ace just heard Snake say something and killed him. But I don't know why Snake would even reveal something that would put himself in danger. Junpei was suddenly very aware of 5 pairs of eyes on him. He had their undivided attention now. The room had grown very, very quiet. Junpei took a deep breath.
That's ridiculous. What possible evidence do you...
I have 3 pieces of evidence.
Alright, so I can think of exactly 0 pieces of evidence, and he's got 3. Junpei all of a sudden feels very smart when he's acted incredibly dumb in the past.
The first. Think back to a few hours ago. You made us argue over the 3 doors here in the big hospital room.
Did he? I mean, because he put himself to sleep. Oh, and he put himself to sleep by injecting himself with a anesthetic that would have been a gas, not an injectable. Although maybe it works both ways. Who knows?
There was no way all 7 people could go through them. Lotus suggested that we sacrifice one of us.
Lotus looked away awkwardly.
Then you, Ace, said, I'll stay here.
So he wanted to stay so he could go find Snake and kill him. Okay, but why?
Why would you say something like that? It's pretty simple, really. You didn't want us to see the dead body in the shower room.
But there was totally a scenario where people would have picked door 3.
You see, if Ace stayed behind, there were only 2 doors the rest of us could go through.
I don't feel like that's the case, because I definitely went through door 3 once. Did I? And I don't feel like Ace was with us in that case.
Doors 7 and 8.
I don't think this is true.
There was no way we could get through door 3, the shower room. You knew that, didn't you, Ace?
I feel like Junpei is really just bluffing here.
That's why you volunteered to stay behind.
I think he's bluffing big time.
Come on now, I think that's going a bit far. I can understand if you're jealous of my bravery, but please don't devalue my actions. I only wanted to save the rest of you. Surely you can understand my altruism.
Altruism, huh?
Junpei stared off into the darkness at something very interesting and lazily began to dig a persistent bit of wax out of his ear. That's a very anime trope of not listening.
You already knew, didn't you? You knew that whichever doors we took, eventually we'd end up back in the big hospital room.
So again, it's all centering around this.
What on earth are you saying? Of course I didn't know that. How could I have?
Really?
Yes.
How could he? Well, the evidence against that is because you're the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceutical and you're the person that did this Nonary game in the past, that doesn't really, though, change the fact that this whole building may have been completely modified since the last time he saw it. So I feel like I'm just going to make a false accusation in this ending and then end up dead for making a mistake.
Oh well, that's cool. I've still got 2 more pieces of evidence that say you're the killer.
Okay.
The second is that, as I said earlier, you have prosopagnosia.
Yeah, how does this play?
Then you mean to imply that a person who can't distinguish human faces must be a bad person? Junpei, they call that prejudice.
No, I am not that stupid.
Then why?
Well, before I explain, I suppose there's something I should tell you.
Oh, I guess the fact that whoever is dead in the shower room isn't Snake might explain the prosopagnosia. So, Snake forced somebody to switch clothes with him, and then Ace killed that person. Or Snake switched clothes with the... Like, no, it would have to be some other person who was alive just wandering around that we never saw. Yeah. If Ace actually did go into the 3 room and murder him. And how Ace did it alone, I don't even know, without the explanation of the secret passages.
The corpse in the shower room. It's not Snake's.
What?
I didn't put it together right away, but there was something Clover told me. She said that Snake's left arm was prosthetic. He'd lost his real arm in an accident.
See, the problem now is Clover is dead, so it's kind of hard to believe Junpei.
But the body we saw in the shower room, let's call him Guy X. Guy X's left arm was definitely flesh and blood. In other words, Guy X couldn't possibly have been Snake.
Oh God. No. That's impossible.
Yeah, so unless Ace actually confesses right now, I still feel like half the group may just turn on Junpei and say you're wrong and not listen to him. Ace has started muttering deliriously to himself, shaking his head back and forth. Junpei was long past caring.
Let's say, hypothetically, that the killer didn't have prosopagnosia.
Just didn't see who he was killing or didn't care who he was killing.
If that were the case, he would immediately realize that Guy X wasn't Snake. Even if the clothes were the same as Snake's, their faces would be completely different. It would have been obvious they were different people. And yet, they still killed him.
Yeah, but there's plenty of endings here where lots of people get killed, if not everybody.
Why?
We don't know why the killer has been killing any of these people, except for the path where Clover was the killer. We know that motivation.
Why would they kill a stranger who'd only just shown up?
For the bracelet. Whatever bracelet would have been on that person's wrist.
On the other hand, if the killer did have prosopagnosia, it makes sense. They thought Guy X was Snake and killed him.
Wait just a moment. Let's say you're right, and I mistook Guy X for Snake. Even if I did, I would have had no motive to kill him.
Good question. And, like, the only motive he has to kill anybody here is that he worked for Cradle Pharmaceutical. But it seemed like Cradle Pharmaceutical was above the law anyways, and they weren't at risk of being exposed at all. And if he did want to kill everybody, then he probably could have done it well before the Nonary game started. And we're not sure if Ace is supposed to be 0 in this scenario, or if the other character is 0. I guess Guy X in this story is 0. I guess that's the idea. But then how would Snake have forced Zero to change clothes?
Why would I want to kill Snake?
I can think of at least 2 motives.
And throwing out too many bullet notes here, bullet points. Too many
1,
numbers.
Snake knew about your past. If he ever revealed what he knew, that would have been really bad for you. You really didn't want that to happen.
I don't know if it really would have been bad for him.
So to make sure Snake's mouth stayed shut, you killed him. 2. Snake had a grudge against you. You knew that, or at least you could have easily assumed he did.
Snake would have had really good hearing. He claimed to have that. So why would Snake not have been able to recognize Ace at the very beginning and tried to kill Ace if that was really the case? Or why wouldn't Snake expose Ace at the very beginning of the game?
Even without exposing your identity, he was a threat to you. You never knew when you might be attacked. You couldn't ever let your guard down. Every moment was a moment he might try something.
This is a stretch, it feels like.
You didn't want that kind of danger hanging over you, so you...
Hey, hold on a minute.
Santa's gonna jump in.
What's the past that Ace wouldn't want us to know? Why did Snake have a grudge against him?
Yeah, Junpei's gonna have to really explain
Look at
himself.
this.
So this was the confession / letter from Zero.
What's this piece of paper? The Nonary Game was played once before 9 years ago.
So Santa should know some of that.
The person with the number 2 bracelet attended the game 9 years ago.
Okay. But I think several... Is that in this confession evidence that nobody else in this group directly participated in the Nonary Game that was here? Because Clover was in the Nevada group that was in a different location? The story still doesn't really explain why Junpei and June are included in this.
It was planned by the following 4 people. Cradle Pharmaceuticals CEO Gentaro Hongo. What is this?
And they don't name the other 3 people. And I think that's intentional.
It's the message from Zero. It was in the safe in the first class cabin.
Why would you believe Zero, though? Then suddenly, he has a point where we die. And get murdered. I'm hitting A, and the story is not going forward.
Give me a break!
Had to switch around. Ace's face was red and shaking, and his voice was full of fury tinged with desperation.
That paper is a lie! Someone is trying to frame me!
Me. You said me, right?
Nobody knew Ace's name.
Wouldn't that mean you're admitting you're Hongo, the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceuticals? Or am I mistaken?
Now this is useful because Santa already had talked with Ace and found out that information, so Santa can confirm that Ace said he was the CEO of a pharmaceutical company, that Cradle Pharmaceuticals directly, and whoever else was in that group way back at the beginning of the game might have overheard that information too. That would have been June.
Very well. I admit that much. I am certainly the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceutical, Gentaro Hongo. So what if I am? I don't know anything about this Nonary game that supposedly took place 9 years ago. Everything on that scrap of paper is bullshit. Someone is trying to set me up, you see? First of all, Junpei, you're claiming I did this all by myself. Think that over, all right? How could I have killed Snake all by myself?
Good question. It would require someone else to open the door, or for him to have the 9 bracelet, or for him to be 0 and or know the secret shortcuts.
Not Snake. It was Guy X.
I don't care who it was. You said the killer put this other man into door 3, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Then I couldn't have possibly done that alone. I couldn't have opened door 3 with only myself and Guy X.
Yeah, unless Guy X had a like a number 2 bracelet or an 11 bracelet or something.
Nope, you could have.
Keep on explaining. This is really, really long.
Huh?
What?
Actually, Ace, when you were unconscious, I took something from you.
So now Junpei is setting another trap and saying he's going to say that he stole the 9 bracelet from him when he was unconscious, and just assume that Ace has not checked his pockets where the 9 bracelet would have almost certainly been.
Remember when you were injected with that anesthetic and fell asleep in the big hospital room? Yeah, back then, I took this.
Put his hand in his pocket.
No, you couldn't have.
And you see him go and grab Ace's right hand moved. Junpei smiled.
I got you, Ace. Your right hand there tells me all I needed to know. You want to tell me what you were so worried about? What's in your pocket? It's the number 9 bracelet, isn't it? Ace, Guy X, and the 9th man's bracelet. That was all you needed to open door 3.
So at that point, it would have to be either a Guy X had a 0 on his bracelet, or Guy X had a 20 on his bracelet, which would be really weird, or Guy X had a 2 on his bracelet if he was included in opening the door, which he almost certainly would have had to been. 1 plus 2 plus 9 equals 12, which equals 1 plus 2, which equals 3.
That's how you killed Guy X all by yourself, Ace.
So, if the Guy X was wearing a 2 bracelet, there's either 2 people with 2 bracelets, or Snake was murdered by Guy X, and then Guy X put on the bracelet? That doesn't make sense.
All you needed was the number 9 bracelet in your chest pocket.
By this revelation, the group should now know that they could get through the number 9 door with those bracelets. With the bracelets that are left. See, this still feels like this is the good ending, and I don't feel like it really should be.
If you want to play innocent, that's fine by me. Go ahead, tell me. I don't have the bracelet, if that's what you want to do. But if you could take off your coat and hand it to me, I'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, we'll have to take it from you by force. Right, 7?
Yeah, it'd be my pleasure.
So if he takes off his coat, will he have the knife on him? Did he kill Clover also? Like, does he still have the drug? Could he just throw the knockout gas drug and make everybody pass out and then drown? Like, because there's like only an hour left. Now we're getting the anime laughing, "You've caught me." His face went flat and cold and devoid of any emotion.
Well done, Junpei. As you so correctly deduced, I have the number 9 bracelet. I retrieved it while we were searching for the missing hardware for the red.
Okay.
I left the room I was supposed to search and headed to the first-class cabin on B deck. My purpose was to obtain the number 9 bracelet. 9 is a potent ally in the Nonary. Adding 9 to any set of numbers won't alter the digital root.
Okay.
As you can see, 9 is a very useful number here. With it, one can go anywhere, with anyone. It is, I suppose you could say, a game changer. So I made for the first-class cabin to obtain it. In mere moments, I successfully acquired the number 9 bracelet.
Okay.
There was also an unexpected bonus.
And the idea here of recapping all of this is what?
The knife the 9th man had used.
Oh, so he gets the knife from the 9th man. I forgot about that knife. I thought the kitchen knife was going to be the...
I quickly pocketed both of them and left. I made my way back to where I was expected to be. That's when I ran into Snake. Well, this guy X, actually. I spotted him ahead of me. He was heading for the large hospital room and hadn't noticed me. The man wearing Snake's clothes arrived
It
at door
really stinks for them to introduce a new character so late into a story.
When he stopped, I walked up behind him and called out, "Snake." He turned around.
And so they're going to animate this guy as though he was Snake.
He said nothing. His mouth simply hung half open. He seemed dazed somehow, almost like a man half asleep. Perhaps he had been drugged. It wasn't important. I tend to gloss over little things like that. I was certain that man was Snake. I knew Snake had taken part in the Nonary Game 9 years ago. Being blind, it made sense that he didn't recognize me immediately upon our first meeting. But why then hadn't Snake said anything to me later?
Why would this guy have put the things back in the door is the real question.
Surely he hadn't forgotten what had happened to him in the Nonary Game. But not once did he attempt to confront me. Did his lack of sight prevent him from fully recognizing who I was? Or perhaps Snake had conspired with Zero to deceive me? Regardless, he was a threat, and it was better to deal with him sooner rather than later. I had to get rid of him before he took action.
This confession needs to be in the story.
With quick thinking,
but a lot of the
plan went into motion immediately.
The mind games happening before this could have been eliminated. Yeah. It's really hard to get mind games to really work. They try it a lot in anime. Death Note is probably one of the best examples of them doing it right more often than wrong. But very often it's just kind of falls flat, at least to a Western sentimentality, my Western sentimentality.
I waved my own bracelet in front of the red, and then grabbed Snake's arm and shoved his hand against the scanner panel.
So, if Snake's left arm is artificial, and the bracelet was on his left arm, I assume, we may have to go all the way back to the beginning of the game and see if he had the bracelet on a different arm. Otherwise, at any point, Snake could have literally just taken his arm off, even if it was like an artificial arm that was somehow permanently attached. They don't really make those, but even if that was the case, you could have just chopped it off, assuming that what really is being translated here is correct, and it wasn't more of a case of he was in an accident and they put a metal bone to replace his arm bones, but the flesh and the muscles and the fat and every other part of the arm was still alive and moving. That is very believable.
The door opened. I threw the man through it.
Yeah, you can see in this animation, the arm is, his left arm is wearing the bracelet. And he's still being pretty much animated as Snake, I suppose.
9 seconds later, the door shut. 81 seconds passed.
And I guess if you walked through the threshold and it started the bracelet, you can't just run back out, can you? I mean, that would be interesting to run back out and then have to open the door again and then run back in to deactivate it.
After that, I returned to my post as though nothing had happened. After conducting my own search, I returned to the large hospital room when the 1 a.m. bell rang.
Still getting a lot of detail in the novel screen that you just wouldn't get otherwise in the adventure screen. It really is not an equitable offering. You have to do the novel screen. Otherwise, you're going to have a very abridged experience and miss so much detail. The numbers, I still don't think add up, though. Junpei glared at Ace. He took a deep breath and thought about the next question he had to ask. He didn't want to. He knew what the answer would be. He just didn't want to hear it. Junpei swallowed, then spoke.
Ace, did you kill Clover?
Yes.
So he killed Snake and Clover.
Why? Why did you kill her?
She was Snake's sister. It was possible he had told her something dangerous. Additionally, she had gone through door 1.
She'd gone through door 1.
It seemed likely she might have found it.
Found what?
Found what?
Why don't you go through door 1 yourself? Perhaps it's hidden somewhere.
Seven and Lotus interrupted.
Yeah, but Lotus and I went through door 1 too.
We didn't see anything suspicious.
Yes. I thought as much after I heard your report at the central stairs. I doubt the two of you could find it.
Interesting.
Huh?
So, what makes Junpei capable of finding something that Lotus and Seven wouldn't be able to find? I mean, they kind of fight amongst each other, but Lotus seems to be rather smart, and Seven seems to be rather a decent cop and detective.
But perhaps Clover was different. Perhaps she had found it.
Found what?
I was therefore desperate to find her. And at last I did.
He's not going to explain what it was.
I spoke very calmly. Did you see it?
See what?
Don't act as if you don't understand. You were in the captain's quarters, weren't you?
So she did make it to the captain's quarters.
Uh-huh. What are you talking about?
Very well. By the way, what are you doing here, Clover?
Good question. Why did she come back to this first-class cabin?
What? Nothing.
There's blood on your shoes. It looks fresh.
So she would have been through door 5 or through door 3 again somehow.
Did you go take a look at the 9th man's corpse? I see. Your silence suggests that you noticed. You saw something, didn't you? You saw that his bracelet was gone. You aren't going anywhere.
So he killed her
You're staying
after
here.
manhandling her.
Don't you run, little girl.
So this is kind of just the opposite of the Clover ending, in which Clover was the killer. And notice that that scene and this scene is all in black and white, probably to hide the violence a little bit, even though we see this exact scene in color earlier in the game.
That was how I killed Clover.
So Clover must have found in the captain's quarters the piece of paper that was in her hand. But I never found that piece of paper. So, and Clover is with you when you're in... Clover always goes through the number 1 door. So she must find a piece of paper in every path. So, like the left path or the center path here. Clover must find that piece of paper, preventing you from finding it. Still feels like there's a lot to go on here. Just a lot of talking. And I don't know how this is going to be the bad ending. Other than maybe they'll just run out of time and all drown. Which should be one of the endings, come to think of it.
You son of a bitch!
What we're not seeing here is some kind of magical device or pretense that would cause you to have an epiphany to know the code to unlock the coffin in the other path. And we're back to just getting grunts from people.
I admit it. I've lost. I have lost. Completely and utterly.
Now this would be funny if he now tries to deny everything and takes his coat off and shows that he actually doesn't have the 9th bracelet.
Don't misunderstand, Junpei. I didn't lose to you. I lost to Zero, not you.
This would be funny if Junpei said, I am Zero.
I'm rather disgusted with myself for falling into such a simple trap. I looked the fool. And it was a trap, make no mistake. I was trapped and manipulated by Zero.
So at this point, I guess you're getting confirmation Ace is not Zero.
The man I killed in the shower room, if he wasn't Snake, then I have no idea who he was. But he was wearing Snake's clothes, and that was no coincidence. He had also been injected with something that reduced his cognition and prevented him from identifying himself or resisting me. And we can't forget the components that were removed from the red before we arrived. I have no doubt that Zero planned all of this.
does seem like that's the case.
Zero made sure I would kill that man.
Kinda does seem like that's the case.
It follows, of course, that Zero knew everything I would do. That I would try to take the number 9 bracelet. That I would try to kill Snake. Everything.
Suddenly, Junpei remembered the paper he'd found in the safe. He remembered the last words Zero had written on it. Kinda do need this flashback because I've forgotten what it was and I can't just bring up, like, well, let's just go look here. Clover's note. Pushmaster 5000's instructions. Yeah. There's no note here as far as Zero's note to come back and read. I must punish them. So that they're intentionally putting some of these pieces of notes and these pieces of information not in your inventory, so you can't read them later. And honestly, I kind of would have liked everything to just be in one uniform inventory. Every little piece of note, every little hint would have made it much more of a video game and much less of a novel. For the innocent lives they sacrificed, this is the only warning they will receive. See, if this letter was supposed to be a warning to the people, how were they supposed to find it and see it? It's not really a warning at all. That innocent souls might be saved. I now state the truth, which would be right. Zero. Remember, we had a puzzle earlier where truth meant right. And remember the other words he'd heard from Clover.
I think Zero is one of us.
So if Zero is one of us, who is Zero? Is it someone still alive? Or is it Snake? Or is it someone else? One by one, Junpei looked at the 5 people standing in front of him. Ace. Santa. June. 7. Lotus.
Zero's one of us.
So is it going to literally just pop up a guest box? We're going to have to make a save file just to be certain. Just be careful here. Because I think what we may get a full guest box here where we just guess who is Zero.
There's one more person. Snake. The man who died in the shower room isn't Snake.
Yes.
That means he's almost certainly still alive.
I guess. Unless the man X killed Snake.
Maybe Snake is Zero. Maybe he made Guy X wear his clothes so that we'd all think he was dead. Where's Snake now? What if he's off somewhere laughing at us? If he is Zero, he must have been lying to us about everything else. Is he watching us?
So, a bit of a jump there that Snake may not even be blind. Zero was, or the Zero in the captain quarters was watching people on cameras.
What the hell is this shit? You aren't going anywhere, you son of a bitch! We're gonna leave your ass here to rot!
Why? Because I killed Clover? That's ridiculous. Why are you so upset that I killed the little bitch?
Now, the point here would be that Santa's daughter, Santa's sister, was in the Nonary game 9 years ago and died.
She was nothing to you. A stranger you only met a few hours ago. Am I wrong?
You bastard!
Someone else hit him faster. Lotus hits him. She stepped towards Ace, raised a fist of her own, and drove it straight into his nose.
Blindsiding me with a punch, huh? You've got some fire, don't you?
So, all of these people that just attacked Ace were affected negatively by the Nonary game 9 years ago, and I guess we're gonna get quick reveals of that.
I confess, I rather like a tough woman.
Well, maybe you'd like another one then.
Before that, let me give you one of my own.
Huh?
Lotus scarcely had time to blink. Ace snaked his arms around her and pulled Lotus back up against him. In the same motion, he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out the gun. It was the gun. So, one more custom image here, in which now Ace has the gun, compared to the other story where it was Santa that had the gun over here, and he's going to force people to open the number 9 door, and they're showing Lotus in her ridiculous outfit again. Just a lot of cleavage. A lot of cleavage. The revolver. Almost lazily, he tilted it to point at Lotus's head.
If any of you so much as blink, I won't hesitate to pull this trigger.
Is that how you do plural in names? Lotus apostrophe S? Never get that right.
I've already killed 3 people. Don't think I'm not ready to make it 4.
So, yeah, this story just keeps on going on. We've literally gone an hour to cover 2 novel sections.
3 people? What do you mean?
Very well. Let me take this opportunity to illuminate you.
Okay.
The person who killed the 9th man was me. Although I suppose to be more accurate, I encouraged him to get himself killed.
Why did you do that?
While we were examining the main staircase, he came to me and told me his name.
So, who is he?
I recognized it at once. So I gave him a little push. Just a little white lie.
It's nice to get a little backstory on the 9th man. And it took forever to get any backstory on Ace, and obviously why.
It seems the settings for the dead were altered. Now it only requires a single person to deactivate the detonator in the bracelet. Investigate what's beyond door 5. We'll meet again later. And with that...
Okay. Have a good one, guys. I'm going off ahead now. Well then. Goodbye. Why is it stopping? God damn it! You lied! Open the door, please! I'm begging you!
Even if they had opened the door at this point, I don't think that would have saved them.
Help me! Please get me out of here!
Yeah. I don't think you can open the door if it's occupied, so they could have opened the door. And even if you forced the door open and he ran through the number door a second time, he still probably would just explode.
Oh my god, there's no time left! Listen, I was lied to! He lied to me! He put me in here! It was him! He killed me! It was him!
So all he had to say is either say the name of the pharmacist CEO, or say Ace, instead of him. And that would have kind of ruined Ace's plan at the very beginning.
I had 4 reasons for killing him.
Here we have another number thing. This must translate better in English, in Japanese than it does in English. Most English speakers don't go, I had 4 reasons for doing this, let me number them all and name them all. 1.
As I said before, in the Nonary Game, the number 9 bracelet is of utmost importance. If I had allowed him to keep such a useful tool, he, or it, would have become a threat to me.
I don't know how.
As such, I decided that he should be eliminated early on.
I don't know if it's guaranteed that the number 9 bracelet would be a threat to you.
I wanted the number 9 bracelet. If I could manage to obtain it, I would be able to manipulate the game as I saw fit.
That makes sense.
I would be unable to acquire the bracelet unless its owner was dead.
Okay.
That's the second reason. Even setting aside his number, he would have been nothing but trouble for me. He was aware of my past. He knew what happened here 9 years ago. It was important that I eliminate him before he was able to disseminate this information.
So it either becomes a case that 2 other people also worked for Cradle Pharmaceutical at least 9 years ago when the first Nonary game happened, and are in this game, or those 2 other people show up in some sequel.
Lastly, I wished to conduct a simple test. A test to see if this Nonary game was serious, or a poor attempt at a joke. I needed to be quite sure.
Okay.
As such, I encouraged him to act against the rules so that I might observe the outcome.
I don't get your third motive. What the hell happened 9 years ago?
Seems weird to ask this question, because almost certainly Junpei should have gotten from context clues what happened 9 years ago. And Lotus should know, and Seven should know, and Santa should know. It should just be June and Junpei who maybe don't know.
Didn't I say? The Nonary game was played. I planned it out, and I conducted its execution.
Why? What on earth was it supposed to do?
I don't really think I have any obligation to tell you that.
Like, Ace at this point shouldn't really be explaining himself as much as just telling people we're all going down to the 9 door and we're all leaving now.
Hey, what's with this gun? Where did he get this?
Why don't you tell her, Santa?
Santa ground his teeth and glared at Ace.
On the other side of door 6, we found the gun in the coffin in the cargo room, right? Bastard must have grabbed it when we weren't looking.
Indeed I did. That was a pretty serious mistake, you know. Just saying you intended to leave it behind. Well, there isn't much time left. I'll be off then.
So 8 and Ace equals 9, plus the number 9 bracelet equals 9 as a digital root. So he doesn't need anybody else. He can just take Lotus and escape. And we saw in a previous story, Ace asked Lotus to go look at something, and then they disappeared from the story. That must have been what happened in that case too. So in at least 2 of these pathways, people, the Ace and Lotus seem to have escaped, or at least Ace seemed to have escaped.
Well, where are you going?
Do I really need to explain? I had assumed it would be obvious.
Would the digital root of the rest of the group potentially let everybody else escape. I don't think so, but I don't want to bother to do the math.
I have the number 9 bracelet, and now I have Lotus.
Wasn't there a door with a 9 on it in the room that looked like a church? That's where you're going, isn't it?
And how do you know that?
7 was in the room, wasn't he?
Santa told me about it while we were looking for Clover.
I see. Well, you are correct. That is my destination. But now I must say goodbye to all of you.
This would be funny if he just shoots everybody.
And please, don't forget my warning. Move and I'll pull the trigger. I don't need her alive to open the door, you know.
So, I wonder if there's some kind of backward logic here to make Lotus just super recognizable so that she could not be confused with any other character. That way, Ace's face blindness does not run into a problem there. They didn't have to make her so distinct, frankly, though.
Shit. He's getting away! We can't risk it.
So, Junpei is 5, Santa is 3, that's 8. June is 6, that would be 14. 14 plus 7 is 21, which would be a digital root of 3. So, I don't think that they can escape. There should be like some group that might be able to escape, but I'm not sure who. 6 and yeah. The question is if they run into Snake or if they find another bracelet somewhere.
Now, Lotus, open the door for me if you would. Goodbye.
Damn it!
So are they gonna just follow orders and stay in this room? As Junpei laid his hand on the doorknob, June goes, ah. There's a noise behind him. He looked over his shoulder. June was kneeling on the floor, breathing heavily. This, I believe, is a almost copy of a previous scene we've seen. So for this time, it's Santa reaching out, trying to hold June instead of Junpei, and it seems like the hand on the right was just reused very lazily, and it's still animated pretty badly. In fact, it looks like probably even the hand on the left of Santa was just reused, and the scale just seems way off still.
Hey, June, what happened? Are you alright?
Santa ran to June and wrapped his arm around her before she could collapse all the way.
Jesus, you're burning up. Your fever's back. Are you okay?
Let's see. So 5 plus 3 plus 7 would just be like 15, which would be a digital root of 6.
I'm okay. Really. I'm fine.
Is it possible that there's a group of 3 people that literally cannot get a digital root of 9?
You should be worrying about Lotus.
Probably.
But
Man, the story just keeps on going. I expected to be done with this like 40 minutes ago. The music's not playing, so it's pretty quiet. And we haven't been given a choice as far as a dialogue choice in quite a long time, and I imagine we're not going to.
Jumpy, don't worry about me. I just need a little rest. I'll be fine. Don't you remember? I just needed to rest a little bit last time. So please, please save Lotus.
Think about what Ace has already done, Junpei. When he's got what he needs from Lotus, you really think he's just gonna let her walk away?
So, is Junpei supposed to run after Ace while everybody else stays behind?
You guys go on ahead. As soon as June starts feeling better, we'll follow you. Go! All right, come on, Seven. We're going after Ace.
So then, Santa and Seven go after Ace.
You take good care of June. I'm trusting you.
No, it's Seven and Junpei are going after Ace, and Santa and June are staying behind. Which, if they found the Zero bracelet, then their two numbers would add up to 9, and they'd be able to escape.
Got it.
But there's been literally no talk about the Zero bracelet, and only Clover was in that room with the captain's quarters, apparently. So, Clover and the other two people, Seven and Lotus, were in the room, but I don't think Seven and Lotus grabbed the Zero bracelet. Clover may have.
Let's go.
There is a problem here that's being ignored. It would be fairly easy for Ace to simply put something in the way of the doors closing in the elevator, and thus the elevator could not be called back up, and thus they could not chase after him. He could also shoot the locks in the hopes that that would break something after walking through a door. Shoot the handles off of something, but clearly they didn't think of any of that. And for my preference, I'd be perfectly happy if they just arrived too late and don't have another confrontation with Ace. But I think we're going to get a bad ending, and I think we're going to see Lois dead.
Where are they?
I don't see them.
You think they already went through?
Maybe. Let's check the red.
So this red says vacant. And this one says engaged. So in one ending, somebody goes through one area, and in one ending, somebody goes through another area.
That means Ace and Lotus went through here.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Of course, without a third person, they can't go through even the other door. So that chase sequence was pretty pointless.
What do we do now?
Yeah, what should we do? Well, the big door is still vacant, but
the two of us can't do anything with it.
Yeah, not even counting how our digital route isn't 9.
Just then, as they were pondering what to do next, we hear a pounding on the coffin.
What's that sound?
Junpei looked up surprised. Seven followed suit, his eyes jumping around the room, looking for the source of the sound. It's always 5 that he
From over
pounds.
there.
And we got a lot of little incidental images here. Is that 5 candles in every candelabra?
The coffin.
We still don't have anything that would break open the coffin, and not really a great idea of what the code is.
Yeah.
Let's open it.
How?
By force.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Well, you never know till you try, right? The only necessity for success is the willingness to suffer 1,000 failures.
Yeah, it feels like playing this game you're suffering 1,000 failures.
Who said that?
I forget. Anyway, we've got to try.
At the coffin, they grabbed hold of what that purchase they could find and pulled.
Damn it!
See? Didn't I tell you? If you could just pull it open, why would it have something like that?
See, unless you're supposed to type in 0 here, or 2, or 9, I really have no idea. We could try other codes if it lets me, but last time it didn't really let me enter any codes.
Right. So unless I put in the right passcode, it's not gonna open.
5. Always hadn't stopped. In fact, as they continued, it only got louder and more forceful. What were they supposed to do? Junpei wondered.
There's some sort of clue somewhere.
Here we have an animation again. They stood a few moments staring at the coffin, then 7 spoke.
Hey, Junpei. I remember you mumbling about some weird numbers over by the bathroom in the first-class cabin.
The numbers on the watch, yeah.
You got those numbers by solving the secret message Clover was holding, right?
Yes.
Truth had gone, or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. What about it?
Okay.
Well, maybe that number's the passcode for this thing too.
Okay.
Come on, that's impossible.
Might as well try it. It's better than the ending we got last time where we had no clue.
Those numbers were the code to unlock that safe.
Yeah, but the person who set up that safe in this coffin is the same person, right? 0 set up both of these.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Well, then they might have set the same passcode for both of them.
So, is it going to make me actually play it, or is it just going to have me do it automatically? Because I have that code still.
That's ridiculous.
Why don't you just try it? I mean, it's not like you'll make things any worse.
It'd just be a waste of time. There's no way they're the same number.
How do you know that? You never know until you try.
Yeah.
The only necessity for success is the willingness to suffer 1,000 failures.
I kind of feel like if this was a time travel mechanic where you were actually going back and playing it over and over again, and that was the trick that was happening, there would be an interesting montage right about now where you would go through this whole scenario 1,000 times, trying a whole bunch of different combinations, much like the Live, Die, Repeat manga that got turned into a TV series. No, a movie, not a TV series. And then was originally called something else, and then didn't do so well that they changed the name. But I'm pretty sure the manga was called Live, Die, Repeat.
Who said that?
You.
So
Fine.
even in this conversation, while it's just kind of a comedic point in which 7 is just repeating back to Junpei what he just said a few minutes ago, it does kind of imply the path that this game works in, kind of oddly backwards in time. Perhaps because he repeated them so many times before, the numbers came easily to Junpei's mind.
438 3421.
Yep, that's the code I have written down. Quickly typed them in. It does kind of feel like this would be the final code in the entire game, because it's built around the bracelets. And there is a possibility that you would never even get in the first classroom. So getting that confession piece of paper really wouldn't have been that helpful. You checked, you didn't have the right numbers, took a deep breath, and pressed E. Only took a moment.
What?
So that is the
You gotta be
code.
kidding me.
There is a click. So the craziness is if this somehow turns out to be the Egyptian priestess in this coffin, that would be weird, super weird. But it would give perhaps a magical ability to Junpei to know the code for the other path. Otherwise, we assume that this is either a Zero we just haven't seen or Snake. Really couldn't be anybody else. Probably Snake. Someone set up from inside.
Snake!
Snake, his eyes are closed and he's wearing a cult-ish outfit.
You? Why?
We can see a bit of his left arm, and it does look real.
Ah, those voices. Junpei and Seven, unless I'm mistaken. Where are the others? Are they elsewhere?
Of course, there was no reason Snake would have known anything about where anyone else would be. There was a great deal they needed to know, but they had to tell him something, however, so they began to talk. Snake explained to them how he came to be locked in the coffin. Apparently he had been hit with some sort of knockout gas, and Junpei and Seven explained what had happened to the rest of them, including Clover being killed.
I see. I believe I got the gist of everything.
Yeah, he probably would have reacted worse to Clover being killed.
Have I been sufficiently caught up?
There's one thing they kept from him. It's one thing, however, that neither Seven nor Junpei could bring themselves to say. That Ace had killed Clover. They feared that if Snake knew, he might, well, go insane.
Yeah.
They decided as much by a look the moment Snake had climbed out of the coffin.
But that still doesn't explain why you were trapped in here.
Yes, why was Snake particularly trapped in here instead of multiple people being particularly trapped in different places? It does kind of have the most Saw-like feel to this story. I would say now that we've seen almost all the story, it does feel like this was only ever so smallly influenced by the Saw movies and definitely tried to promote itself like it was a lot heavier influenced by the Saw movies than it really was.
We've still got no clue about Zero's true identity, let alone why the hell he's doing all this.
That's true.
Why did he put Guy X at Snake's clothes? Is all this stuff somehow related to that Nonary game that was played 9 years ago?
Hey, Snake, do you know anything?
Sensor was less than illuminating.
What are you talking about? I apologize, but I have no idea what you're saying.
Seemed as though Snake was perhaps not being entirely honest, but the knowledge did Junpei and Seven little good.
Come on, just tell us if you know. I don't know what to tell you. How can I know something I don't?
No matter how many times they asked, he insisted that he knew nothing. It's becoming clear that wouldn't give in, and every second they spent asking him was a second wasted.
This is bad. We're running out of time.
We need to go after Ace.
However, they stood in silence, an overpowering atmosphere of the chapel almost stifling. Junpei, Seven, and Snake simply stood at a loss for what they should do next. While Seven and Snake add up to 9, Junpei adds up to 14. So that's still not 9. If they get June in there, they're 20, and they still can't get through it. If they get Santa in there, they're 23, and they still can't get through it. Some combination here must work to equal 9, but I'm having a real hard time figuring it out without doing the math.
What do we do now?
He glanced over at Snake's wrist. Sure enough, he could see the number 2 on the bracelet on the Snake's wrist.
The 3 of us can't make a digital root of 9.
Yeah, we just get 5.
We're stuck here then.
Oh, hey, I just remembered something.
7 begins to pat his pockets as if he was checking to see if he had anything, any of them held anything.
What? What is it?
I found something earlier.
What did you find?
This.
Pulled out something around the metal. A 0 bracelet. So he did find a 0 bracelet, but not Clover's bracelet.
0. Zero's bracelet.
What did you say? Are you saying that 7 has the number 0 bracelet?
Yeah.
Where did you get that?
7's question was innocent enough, but if he learned the truth, he'd been able to see he would have noticed 7 look away.
Clover gave it to me.
She did?
Yeah.
How did she come by it?
Well, she found it. See, on the other side of door 1, A deck, the captain's quarters. She asked me to hold on to it because it was too big and bulky for her to be lugging around.
He's lying.
No duh.
He even told us earlier.
I haven't actually looked at it yet. Didn't want to disturb the crime scene, you know? Basic stuff. Well, I did borrow one thing.
He probably said that so Snake doesn't find out about Clover.
So, Clover did find the 0 bracelet,
They're nice knowing you.
and yet he does seem to he did seem to only take the 0 bracelet and not Clover's bracelet.
Wait, what?
7 plus 2 plus 0 equals 9.
Come on, man. I'm just kidding. Still, just in case, I want to make sure the 0 bracelet gets picked up by the red. Snake, give me a hand, all right?
So you
Huh? Why isn't it opening?
the 0 bracelet doesn't work. Interesting error. This is a new revelation.
Well, the 3rd asterisk lit up, so it must have registered the 0 bracelet.
Maybe it isn't actually 0.
Huh?
Interesting. What would it be then?
What?
That bracelet may not actually produce the number 0 when scanned. That is what I'm saying.
So what would it produce?
Why don't we try a few different combinations? Perhaps we can determine what number that bracelet actually contains.
Interesting.
Oh, got it.
Decide to use the following combination. Let's see. Well, which combination here would tell us anything? Snake and Junpei and 7 in the bracelet. Feels like I would determine its actual value based on whatever I pick here. Snake and Junpei would be 8, and then that would be and make the bracelet 1. Here, then Junpei and 7, that would be 13, And so then we would need it to be another 6, I guess. 6 would be 19, no. 5. Let's just start with the first one and just hope we didn't make a mistake.
Let's try Snake, me, and the bracelet. If this combination works, then the number for this bracelet is 2.
So it's not 2.
It didn't open.
Guess it's not 2.
Then
It's just gonna do, I guess, everything. Yeah. We'll just go through all these.
7 and the bracelet. If this combination works, then the number for this bracelet is 6.
You're assuming that. It could be that the number is like huge and just has a digital root. That it's like a 3-digit, 4-digit, 1,000-digit number.
It opened.
So why would June and the 0 bracelet work together? Because June is 0. It's been a really long journey to get to this point.
Yes, so it would seem.
And it's just a dark hallway apparently because nobody can see in there.
That means the bracelet is actually 6. But how is that possible? The display on the bracelet clearly shows a 0.
Suddenly from somewhere beneath them they heard the creak and groan of tearing metal. With it came a sound of water pouring into parts of the ship that had until recently been dry.
Oh man, that's not good. I guess our time's just about up, huh?
At any rate, we know now that the door can be opened. Let's go.
But, Snake, are you sure?
Yeah. You know that only Junpei and I can go through this way.
You needn't worry. I have a solution to this problem.
Interesting.
My last resort. But if now is not the time for last resorts, then when?
Last
resort?
What's the solution? So I guess we're going through the door. And I guess it is another hallway with a dead. And it didn't not work and kill the people. So we get to see what happens. They run full tilt down the long straight hallway. They're headed for the stern of the ship and had no time for distractions as they ran 7 spoke.
Gotta admit, you really surprised me there, kid. I couldn't figure out how the hell you were gonna get out of that one. How come you didn't do that right off the bat?
As I told you, it was a last resort.
What did he do as a last resort? He just started running?
Had I used it at the beginning of the game, I would have come under a great deal of suspicion.
What did he do?
I imagine that most people would have taken it to mean that I was 0. Once they'd convinced themselves of that, I wasn't optimistic about my chances of making it out of here alive, let alone unscathed.
So he's not 0, apparently.
I felt it best to play my cards close to the chest.
I have not gone into all skip mode, and yet it still feels like I have skipped something. And I don't know if this is just bad writing or what.
That way, if I were in a situation where there was nothing else I could do, I'd have a little trick up my sleeve. I just take my bracelet off.
Okay, so he took his hand off because it's artificial. Snake's plan had been simple but effective. Yeah, instead of showing, they're telling what happened. He simply removed his bracelet. How? To Junpei, it looked as though Snake had simply crushed the bones of his hands until they were small enough to fit through the wristband. Of course, that would have been practically impossible, so how had he done it?
My brother's left arm is, it's not like a normal person's arm.
I don't think prosthetic arms are designed to work that way.
It's fake. It's not a real arm.
Snake had slid the bracelet off and tossed it into the coffin.
I know this is kind of a weird thing to say, but I'm glad that's a fake arm.
You don't have to be afraid of the door if you don't got a bracelet.
You are correct.
So then they used the... They scanned not the number 2. Wait, no? Because the 0 was the number 6, so I don't know how the numbers are running now, because that doesn't really make sense. You scanned not the number 2, you scanned 7 and 6, 7 and 5 for 12, and then you scanned the 0 bracelet for 6, and that's, I guess, how the door opened, was just those 3 bracelets, and the number 2 would have been a spoiler. This is a great example where they needed to either explain what was happening as it was happening instead of doing a flashback for no reason, or they needed to show instead of tell. They stopped and peered down the staircase.
These stairs connect to the bottom deck.
Make it to the bottom deck.
Look like it's underwater.
Where are we on the flow, by the way? We're still in this same novel section, super long. Single hallway in front of them, and the end, which was a single door. The hallway we just saw as an image had 2 doors, by the looks of it, or a steel wall in the door. Inside was a massive iron gate. The plate was affixed to the top of it. Caution, incinerator.
Incinerator? Oh my. That doesn't sound very pleasant. Do you see a lever near the gate, perhaps?
Yeah, right over here.
How did you know that?
Well, I'd be happy to regale you with the story. I imagine it should only take half a day or so. If you pull it, the door ought to open. Got it.
So we open the incinerator and hope that it doesn't turn on and incinerate, but instead opens to a way to escape. Ships generally just kind of throw their trash into the ocean and don't even bother incinerating things or anything like that. They're not supposed to nowadays, but I think a significant amount of them still do. Standing in front of them were Ace and Lotus. Ace was still held the revolver in his hand. It was pressed against Lotus' temple. Is there another 9 door? Or is there like a giant number that would have required a digital root that's higher than the number of 9? How could you have a digital root higher than the number of 9 though? Let's see. A small dark bruise had begun to form near the tip. More of this. 9. Another 9 door.
What? Why?
That is a question. Like, why have 2 9 doors to get everybody in this room to then force the group to have to find 5 people and sacrifice 4?
Why is there another one?
Simply shouldn't have been there. Unless this red works differently. As his brain finally began to consider why. The whine of the warring klaxon filled the air, drowning out any thought.
Warning. Warning. Emergency incineration command has been acknowledged.
Interesting. Who just did that?
Automatic incineration will take place in 9 minutes.
9 minutes.
Please evacuate the incinerator immediately.
Oh my, how exciting.
Did Ace do that?
You've run quite a show here, Zero. What's the matter? Too frightened to understand? Here, let me explain.
It said that the incineration system is about to activate. In 9 minutes, this room will be engulfed in flame.
Who are you?
You don't recognize me? I'm hurt. It's me, Snake.
Snake? Yes, you are alive. I'm afraid your bizarre style had me confused. I'm quite glad to see that you're alive. If you don't mind my asking, how did you get here? Snake, Junpei 7. The 3 of you couldn't have opened a door with a 9. Did you use Clover's bracelet, perhaps?
I guess they wanted to bring that back into the story.
What?
2, 5, and 7 plus 4. And they're putting 4 in parentheses.
Well, your reaction suggests that you did not.
Hold on. Why did you think we'd have Clover's bracelet?
Oh, they haven't told you?
Told me what?
Clearly not. Normally I would take some time and enjoy the moment. But I'm afraid my time is at a premium just now. I'll have to make this quick. Clover.
Time jumps kind of awkwardly in this game. Sometimes you skip full hours without it being really linear, and sometimes you seem like you can take way more than 9 minutes to read the novel screen for the 9 minutes that this incinerator has left.
Don't do it, Ace. Keep your goddamn mouth shut.
Clover.
I said stop it! Don't listen to him, Snake.
What happened to Clover?
What's funny is Ace would probably be really smart to say Clover was killed by Junpei.
Clover died.
By the way, Snake is blind, so he really should have said, "What's going on? What's happening?" There should have been somebody should have said, "Ace has Lotus with a gun to her head."
No, that's not true. That's impossible. It's a lie. It has to be a lie.
I guess this also kind of proves that Snake and Clover didn't have some kind of psychic telepathic connection to the point where they would recognize if one had died.
Oh, it's quite true. I can assure you of that. I killed her myself, you see.
What?
So he opens his eyes. Can he see?
I'm sorry, did I stutter? I killed her. rather she died with less suffering. A bullet in her brain, perhaps, would have been ideal.
This still just goes on forever.
Unfortunately, that would have made quite a bit of noise. Circumstances being what they were, I was forced to settle for the knife. The one the ninth man had, you remember. I believe I caught her just below the shoulder blade. I was rather lucky, in fact. My first thrust went right between her ribs. Her flesh was so soft.
We don't need this line of dialogue.
There was no resistance.
I don't get the idea of provoking Snake like this. I don't get why he's not just using the number 9 bracelet, Lotus, and his number 1 bracelet to just open the door and escape.
That feeling was... I confess, I feel rather excited. It is a powerful memory.
And it's a little surprising Ace didn't just shoot Lotus after they got through the first 9 door, but I guess he's gonna a little bit smarter than that, and he's gonna just keep on holding on to her until he's fully escaped this game.
Perhaps. I hope I can feel it again.
One thing I will say about the idea of a Nonary game compared to a Jigsaw death trap is at least the rules are kind of established and easy to understand, so it would have started to make a lot more sense for people in the Saw traps in the later sequels to the series to kind of understand what they need to do and potentially save their lives. You see a little bit of that in the movie series, but not as much as you probably would like. On the other hand, the opposite problem of that is that if you had as many Nonary games as there were Saw movies, if you were up to like the 7th Nonary game, it would be very boring. There wouldn't be a lot of new elements there if it's just always going to be around digital roots and the number thing. So ideally, in any other of these games in the series, you'd hope the digital root wasn't a big deal and there was some other system that was implemented instead.
Incineration will begin in 7 minutes.
So yeah, that was supposed to be 2 minutes.
I'm going to kill you.
I wonder if this outfit is supposed to be a hint to something.
What was that?
I'll kill you. I'll kill you.
Ah, so you're going to kill me. Please do. Come now. I'm waiting.
Don't do it! Don't listen to him, Snake! Stop it, kid. He's screwing with your head.
This is gonna really suck if this is the bad ending after all of this, because I don't know what you really learn from that, per se. It seems just kind of weird.
Is there a problem? What are you waiting for, boy?
And it would kind of suck if there was other endings that were like good versions of the other endings, but I don't know how that would happen. And you could certainly get the submarine ending and have a good version of that and actually escape, but the Clover Axe Killer ending doesn't really make sense.
Don't you want me to send you to join your sister?
Don't! The Snake! Don't do it!
They are really failing to tell Snake that he has a gun. So we get a custom animation where he's gonna rush the gun, but unless Ace decides to just pump him full of lead with every bullet, it's not gonna change much. Snake moves like a bolt of lightning. His scream echoed through the incineration chamber, full of rage and despair. And so he's reaching out with his left hand, so he does kind of have some kind of robotic hand and arm, I guess.
Snake!
And if Snake is 0, he is gonna die pretty pathetically here. Another scream filled the room. It was Lotus. She ran across the room to Junpei, her eyes wide with terror.
Lotus! Hurry! This way!
So, are they able to leave the incineration room, or are they trapped in the incineration room?
Incineration will begin in 5 minutes.
So that was another 2 minutes, and that was way less dialogue that time.
Give me the woman.
So,
I need her.
could they run out of the room and dodge a bullet and potentially escape? This gun doesn't make sense because it feels like it would have been a key to something. And unless it is actually a bracelet and you can just hold it to any of the reds and it automatically unlocks the door, it oddly just seems to be the one extra item in any of the puzzles for no reason.
Without her bracelet, I will be unable to open this door.
Yeah, it would have been a lot smarter to just open the door at the beginning and not bait and shoot Snake.
Quickly now! I don't have time for your shenanigans. I see. Then it would seem I have no choice. The rest of you must die as well.
So he's just gonna shoot them all? He was gonna kill them all anyway, so why would he even care to talk?
Fortunately, I have 5 bullets left.
Now this would be ironic if there actually was only 1 bullet, but apparently he knows it has 5 bullets.
1 for Junpei, another for Lotus, and the last 3 for that lump of idiotic man you call 7. I will take Lotus's body with me and leave this room.
Incineration will begin in 4 minutes.
And that was a minute.
Well, it looks as though our time together is at an end. I rather enjoyed playing with you.
Damn it!
We still don't figure out who Zero is. And he's just gonna shoot.
Goodbye.
And we're gonna die, apparently. Then it happened. We're going late here.
Kill you.
Snake's still alive. Snake stood up.
What? No, that's impossible.
Did he have some kind of body armor, or is he some kind of zombie, or what? Or is he just very slowly bleeding to death? He looked for all of the world like a zombie.
Kill you. I'll kill you.
Stay away from me. Get back.
Was there more of him that was robot?
Stop.
More than just his left arm?
Get away from me.
So the question is, if Lotus and Junpei and 7 are together, will that open a number 9 door? Probably with some of the other bracelets running around.
Listen to me. I said don't come any closer. Shit. You bastard.
So that was 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess that was 5 shots. So he uses up all of his bullets.
Incineration will begin in 3 minutes.
So now we have 3 minutes.
Finally. You're
Snake's still not dead. trying to get through this as fast as possible, but see, he's grabbing with his left arm again. That must be some like high-tech prosthetic arm, like robotic arm.
You won't get away. You son of a bitch! You're a monster! Get off me! Let me go, damn you!
No action there, just flashes of white light. Once a snake has ensnared its prey, rarely does it release it.
We're going to burn to death together. What?
Incineration will begin in 2 minutes.
Damn it! Damn you! Get off! Let me go, you monster!
So, are the other people going to be able to escape the incinerator? Or is just everybody going to end up burnt to death?
Okay, look. Think about it this way. My company owns a wonderful hospital. It has excellent doctors. You're not wounded too seriously. I'm sure they can fix you up easily. You don't have to die. You could be saved. Just let me go. Pathetic. Begging for your life.
All I'm thinking is, who is Zero?
Snake, that's enough! You can stop now!
Yes! He's right, Snake. You've done enough!
Come on, Snake, let's go! Let's get out of here!
You have to come with us. We have to leave together.
I apologize, but I'm afraid I can't do that. You'd best forget about me. You need to leave soon. I'm going to take him with me.
Still too much dialogue.
Big Wyatt!
And I guess perhaps this is being localized to have a lot more dialogue compared to what would have been said directly if it was directly translated in Japanese. It could very well be that that entire paragraph he just said was, "I'm sorry, I can't do that," or "Sorry, go now," or something really subtle, because the Japanese language often is very subtle and you just infer quite a lot of it. It's kind of a problem with the Japanese language though, because two translators or two Japanese people inferring a lot from statements don't exactly line up even when they're native Japanese speakers, which is inherently the problem with why so many Japanese game fans have problems with translations. Nobody really complains about like a Russian game being properly translated to English, or a German game being properly translated to English. Not on the scale that people complain about Japanese games being translated.
Perhaps in the afterlife, she can forgive
It
me.
definitely gets to this point where there's just so much dialogue happening that I kind of check out after the third screen or so. And it makes sense why they would want you to just to play in the adventure mode instead. But that doesn't work either. What they really needed to do is to have hired an editor who went through just the entire story and edited it down by about a third.
God
damn it! Shit!
And we're back to cussing.
We gotta go!
The cussing comes and then it goes for several hours, then it comes back. It seems like to me, though, we didn't find any secret passage or anything to let Santa and June in here. So we left them to die, pretty much, without really thinking it through. Unless by making it to the incinerator room, the number 9 doors reset. I guess this is supposed to be tear-jerking and sad, but it's really hard to relate to Snake considering how he's just completely missing in most of the story. And it was kind of even hard to relate to Clover. And so, yeah, I guess the idea is we were supposed to really, really relate to Clover, and then that would have transferred some liking of Snake as a character when he came back.
Junpei, what are you doing? You have to get out of here now.
This is just another sad ending by the looks of it.
Snake!
Snake! This doesn't seem like this is the good ending. So, in the other flow path, I guess, in this bad ending over here, where Santa had the gun and took June, I guess the idea would have been that they would have ended up in the incinerator also. And it does kind of imply that the deeper you get down this flow path, the closer you get towards actually escaping. Or escaping the boat the way the Nonary game wants you to escape.
Wait! Don't be an idiot, Junpei!
So it may very well have been the case that Santa didn't really escape.
No!
So Junpei is being
I have to help Snake!
being dragged by Seven out of the room.
Snake! Get off of me! Let me go!
The irony here would be that the incinerator
10 seconds.
doesn't actually activate and instead just opens the door.
7, 6,
Damn it, I don't get a choice, kid! Don't blame me for this, alright?
5, 4,
Seven apparently just knocked him out. Or knocked him silly.
1, 0. Gates 2 and 3 are locked down. Beginning incineration.
So gates 2 and 3, are those the doors? The door in and the door out? Or are they the doors into this room, but not the incinerator doors? Junpei felt Seven's fist burrow deep into his stomach, and then his legs turned to mush. Seven scooped him up at the same motion and leapt through the door. It slammed shut behind him. So, yeah, again, going back a few seconds to explain what just happened instead of showing it. Junpei struggled to shaky feet. That doesn't seem like English. He glanced over to see Lois only a short distance away. Junpei ran to the door. There's a small window cut into it. Inside he could see Ace and Snake. And are they really getting burned up?
Why?
Snake's not even in the scene here.
Why? Why me? I don't deserve this!
Ace seems like he did deserve this, but nobody else seemed like they deserved it. And see, the irony is if the incinerator didn't activate, the number 9 door opened and 0 was behind it.
0!
They do have an animation. Somebody paid for that. Fire animation looks pretty bad. And does everybody else drown because it took too long? Or can they get through the 9 door with the group that's left? I don't think they can. Junpei didn't know how much time passed. He didn't know how long he stood there in front of the incinerator. Or just ing again. 8 plus 7 is 15. Junpei is 5. They can't get through the 9 door. Not without some other bracelets. And I think the incinerator may very well have just burnt up the 9 bracelet, and the 0 bracelet wouldn't really help them any. Well, wait a minute. The 0 bracelet was a 6. So if 8 and 7 and 5 equal 20, and then you get to 26, that's 7 and 8. You would still need the ace bracelet, which was just incinerated, one would assume.
Hey, wait! Junpei!
Junpei, where are you going?
You stay here. I'll go get Santa and June.
So we go and get Santa and June. Is this going to be a quick jump?
You're gonna bring them here?
3 and 6 is 9. How does 5 open the door?
How?
Good question.
Don't worry about that. Just stay here and wait, alright?
How can you get through the 9 doors if they're occupied or engaged, as they were labeled? How do you open a 9 door otherwise? He looked over his shoulder and watched 7 and letters grow smaller and smaller. Then they stared back, not moving. He wasn't sure if they could. Turned around again. He knew where he was going.
I saw an elevator on the way here.
There was another elevator? Just doing the exact same trick.
If I can get it to work, then maybe...
So in front of the elevator, next to it was a button with a triangle on it. Pushed it and the door opened. And then where does this elevator go?
Yes.
Yeah. So you go up this elevator and it takes you right into the large hospital room, and nobody saw this elevator, and the button to open that elevator door never worked before.
June! Santa!
I mean, talk about bad writing. That's just terrible.
Damn it. Where did they go?
We look for him. So is he gonna find him dead? Or is he gonna run into 0? Blood splatter everywhere. Showing like every single scene in the entire game. Going through another elevator. There needed to be switches to explain why those other 2 elevators were specifically not accessible from the other sides. Inside the chapel, on the red carpet in the center of the room, June. No, code names didn't matter any longer. She was Kane.
Connie!
Junpei cried her name and ran. Like lightning, he ran across the room towards her.
Connie!
He stumbled to a stop. He looked down at her body lying on the still floor. He felt the icy grip of fear upon his heart. She was still, so very still.
No, it can't be. It's impossible.
Why would Santa leave her? Like, he can't escape. Her back was moving. Slowly it rose and fell. really flushed over him.
Connie.
So Connie is 0.
Connie, are you
She
alright?
kills Junpei.
Jumpy?
Maybe. Where's Santa? Alright, well, this is taking forever. And so let's just make another save. And we're gonna have to end this recording here. Because it's just this keeps on going. Obviously. In the next episode, since we've gone over 2 hours now, all logic says we should make it to the ending here of this path, and this shouldn't be the good ending, but maybe it is. If it is the good ending, then we maybe on the save menu are going to get some kind of other icon that shows up for some other reason at the far left, maybe. I mean, that's about the only thing I could guess. And I do have a walkthrough open, but I haven't looked at it to explain that to me. Map wise, in this playthrough you only got B deck, C deck, and E deck. And let's see, did we ever make it to a storage room? I think we did, but I think it was the boiler room. And we never made it to this like secret area where we are here. This is where we are, where the incinerator room is, and it's all burnt, so there's even a bit of a hint in that. Alright, well, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.